Let's be honest, most men have no clue what a woman's greeting really means. You think a simple hi or a casual smile is harmless. But the truth is, the way she opens the door to you tells a story, one that most men will never notice. The moment she steps toward you, the tilt of her head, the softness in her eyes, the almost imperceptible warmth in her voice. They're not random. They are her way of signaling something deeper, something magnetic. When a woman greets you in a certain way, it's her subconscious saying, I want you close, I'm drawn to you. And if you don't pick up on it, you're missing the first line of the map that leads to her heart. Now, let me break it down for you. There's the casual, hey, how's it going? And then there's the type of greeting that makes your chest tighten for no reason. It's not just her word sits, the way she leans in slightly, even unconsciously, the way her hand might brush yours, or how her eyes search yours, almost daring you to notice. Men often dismiss these gestures, labeling them as friendliness or politeness. But here's the truth. Women don't give this energy to everyone. This is selective. This is intentional, even if she's not fully aware of it. She's drawn to you in ways that bypass logic, and her greeting is the opening salvo. Pay attention to the subtle layers. It's in the micro expressions, the barely there smile that lingers, the extra sparkle in her eyes, the warmth that wraps around her tone. These aren't accidents. They're signals rooted in attraction, wired into her behavior before she even consciously thinks about it. And men, here's where you fail. You're trained to look for obvious signs, texts, compliments, flirty gestures, but the real unfiltered truth lies in the unconscious cues, the invisible language that most men overlook. If you can catch her greeting, really see it, you'll start to understand her emotions before she even says them. And that gives you a power very few men will ever experience. Think about the last time a woman's greeting left you unsettled. Not because it was aggressive or awkward, but because it felt loaded, charged with intention. That tingle, that sudden spike of curiosity and desire is exactly what I'm talking about. She's testing the waters, seeing if you feel it too. Most men react with casual politeness, saying, hey, what's up? Without understanding that a simple response can either light a spark or let it die. The way you mirror her energy, the way you respond to her subtle cues will determine whether she opens the door wider or closes it. And here's the harsh reality. Men who can't read these signals end up chasing what they think is obvious, missing what's real. Meanwhile, men who understand female psychology, who notice the almost invisible cues, are the ones who get her attention, her desire, her curiosity. Attraction begins in moments like this, not in grand gestures or long conversations. It begins in the unspoken, in the greeting that feels like it's meant only for you. That's why most men will never see it. They're blind to the silent language of desire. Most men are blind to the subtle ways a woman signals attraction. She doesn't have to say a word. That greeting, the way she leans in, the warmth in her tone, the tiny pause before she speaks, it's all a roadmap. And the crazy part, many men completely misread it. They think she's just being nice, when in reality, she's handing you the first key to her desire. If you don't notice, someone else will. And that's the difference between the man she can't stop thinking about and the one she forgets in a week. Here's what most men miss. Women reveal their emotions unconsciously. The way she tilts her head slightly toward you. The way her gaze lingers a fraction longer than it should. The almost imperceptible smile that seems to say, you matter to me. These aren't accidents. They're emotional cues buried deep in her behavior. When a woman greets you like this, she's giving herself permission to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is powerful. It's dangerous. Only men who can recognize it, who can respond with presence and confidence, will unlock it. Everyone else just brushes past it, oblivious to the signal that could have changed everything. Notice her tone. It's soft, warm, and inviting, but it's also deliberate. Women instinctively use vocal cues to communicate feelings they aren't ready to verbalize. That subtle rise and fall in her voice, the way she stretches a word slightly when she says your name, it's her brain screaming, I'm drawn to you. And yet, men are trained to look for flashy, gesturous texts that scream interest, physical touch that's obvious. They ignore the silent language that speaks louder than anything else. If you can hear it, really hear it, you're already ahead of 90% of men who don't even know this exists. Then there's the timing. A greeting isn't just words or gestures, it's the rhythm, the pauses between moments. When she greets you and holds your gaze just a second too long. When she laughs softly before replying, she's testing your presence. She's measuring whether you can match her energy, whether you notice the depth behind the surface. Most men fail this test without even realizing it. They respond automatically with a surface level answer, and the moment passes. But the men who pause, who feel the charge in that greeting and respond with measured confidence, suddenly occupy a place in her mind that no one else can touch. Here's the brutal truth. Her greeting isn't casual. It's a psychological spark. It's a signal she can't help sending, even to herself. And the men who see it, who understand it, can navigate her attraction with a precision most men only dream about. That greeting is the doorway. Every small cue is a breadcrumb leading towards something far deeper, desire, curiosity, intimacy. But if you walk past it blind, it's gone forever. She'll forget the man who didn't notice, but remember the one who did. And that one moment, that one greeting could have been the start of everything you've been chasing. When a woman greets you with that spark in her eyes, it's more than just friendly behavior. It's an unspoken confession of curiosity, of desire, of fascination. Most men hear words, but women communicate through energy, micro movements, and subtle emotional codes that bypass language. That little tilt of her head, the softness in her voice, the fraction of a second smile that lingers too long. It's her way of saying, I want you to see me. And here's the catch. Only men who understand female psychology catch it. Everyone else, they think she's just being polite and move on. Here's why it matters. That greeting is her testing the waters. It's her evaluating whether you notice her investment, whether you respond with awareness, or just default politeness. Women are wired to protect their hearts. They can't give full attention, full desire, or full access until they see the subtle signals they've been giving reflected back. That's why men who respond with the right energy, confidence, calm presence, subtle acknowledgement suddenly occupy a unique space in her mind. She can't stop thinking about them. Every micro expression she made during that greeting now becomes a magnet for deeper curiosity. Pay attention to her eyes. They reveal what words often hide. When her gaze meets yours during that greeting, does it linger? Almost like it's seeking permission to cross a boundary. That moment is electric. Her pupils dilate. Her lips part slightly. Her breathing shifts ever so subtly. These are not conscious actions. These are biological response signals she can't fully control. And men who can read this language become irresistible without even trying. They understand that the real conversation started before words were spoken. Now consider her physicality. Even a small lean toward you, a toe angled in your direction, a hand brushing lightly against yours, is layered with meaning. Women don't do these things randomly. They're markers of interest. The trick is most men either don't notice or dismiss it. They think attraction is obvious, grand gestures, open compliments, bold moves. But in reality, the invisible, almost imperceptible moments are what reveal true desire. That greeting, that small set of signals, is a concentrated snapshot of her subconscious feelings. Miss it and you lose access to the earliest point of connection. Here's the unspoken truth. This is where most men fail in dating. They underestimate the power of the first emotional exchange. They react to what they see, not what they feel, but women communicate in feelings first, words second. If you can feel her subtle excitement, her nervous energy, her curiosity, and mirror it with calm confidence, you immediately stand out. You become the man who doesn't just notice, understands. And when a woman feels understood before a word is even said, attraction doesn't just happen, it intensifies. She becomes obsessed with figuring you out, drawn to your presence, craving your attention. When a woman greets you in that charged, almost magnetic way, it's like she's handing you a secret most men will never notice. She's giving you a glimpse into her mind, into her emotions, and into the part of her attraction she can't fully control. Every subtle smile, every slight lean, every prolonged glance is her saying without words, "I'm drawn to you in ways I can't explain." And the harsh truth: men either ignore it, misread it, or overreact and ruin it. Only a man who truly understands female psychology can use that moment to create an unbreakable pull. Here's what most men fail to understand. The greeting is a litmus test. She's subconsciously asking, "Are you aware of me? Can you see me fully? Do you understand the energy I'm giving you?" And men respond in three ways. Most men don't notice she's invisible to them. Some men notice but panic. They fumble, overcomplicate, or act desperate. The rare man notices and responds with calm, confident awareness. That man instantly becomes unforgettable. Why? Because he validates her feelings without demanding anything. He sees her energy, acknowledges it, and matches it with his own presence. That's how attraction escalates from a single greeting to obsession. Notice her micro reactions, the way her eyes flick to yours, the split-second lift of her eyebrows, the subtle tilt of her body toward you. These are all subconscious invitations. Women communicate on this invisible plane long before words enter the conversation. And here's the thing, your reaction doesn't have to be flashy. You don't need a rehearsed line or a bold gesture. The power lies in subtle acknowledgement, a calm smile, relaxed eye contact, a mirrored energy that shows you're present and attuned. That's enough to ignite her curiosity and cement your position in her mind. Think about the energy exchange. She's nervous, excited, intrigued, maybe even slightly vulnerable, and that vulnerability is a gift. Most men either scare her off or treat it as casual banter. But when you respond with grounded confidence, when you match her energy without overmatching, you trigger something deeper. Attraction isn't just about desire, it's about emotional resonance. She'll remember the man who felt her feelings before she even spoke them. She'll remember the warmth and awareness you brought into a fleeting greeting. That's how deep connections start almost invisibly. Here's the secret that most men will never discover. A greeting isn't just a greeting. It's the doorway to desire, curiosity, and attachment. The way she opens herself to you, even in that small, fleeting moment, sets the stage for everything that follows. Men who understand this become magnetic almost effortlessly. They understand that attention to detail, seeing what others miss, creates a pull that words alone cannot replicate. That's why she'll think about you long after you walk away. That's why she'll wonder what you were thinking, why you felt different, because you noticed what no one else did. And in the world of dating, that makes all the difference. By the time she greets you like that, she's already curious, already intrigued, and already imagining what it would be like if you were the man she desires. But here's the thing. Curiosity alone isn't enough to create obsession. How you respond in those first few seconds determines everything. Women are wired to notice energy, to feel presence, to detect authenticity. When a man mirrors that energy, calm, confident, attuned, becomes more than a greeting. He becomes a psychological anchor, a magnet she can't resist, even if she doesn't fully understand why. Focus on her subtle cues, her body language, her micro expressions, her voice, each clue to her inner state. Does she step slightly closer, brush a strand of hair back, or let her gaze linger? That's her subconscious inviting you in. Most men overcomplicate this, thinking attraction needs big gestures. But the reality is far simpler. Acknowledge her energy, match it with calm presence, and let her feel seen. That's what women crave. When they feel understood before they've spoken, their mind begins to link you with safety, excitement, and emotional fulfillment all at once. Here's the psychological truth. Her greeting triggers dopamine before she even realizes it. The tension in her eyes, the tiny shifts in posture, the warmth in her tone, these create emotional anticipation. And when you respond with presence and subtle confidence, you amplify that dopamine surge. Suddenly, you're not just a man she sees. You're the man who makes her feel something she can't control. And that feeling is what drives attachment, desire, and even obsession. Women remember men who make them feel first, long before they remember words, dates, or conversations. Don't underestimate silence either. When a greeting comes with curiosity in her eyes, a pause in her voice, or a tilt in her body, your restraint speaks volumes. You don't need to fill every moment with words. By holding your presence, by letting her energy settle into you, you create a magnetic tension. She senses it. She feels it in her chest, and her mind begins to replay that greeting over and over. That's the power of conscious awareness. Most men rush in, spill words, and ruin the delicate chemistry. The men who succeed understand that less is more. Presence, awareness, and subtle mirroring do more than charm. They create a pull she can't resist. And here's the ultimate insight. When a woman greets you like this, she's opening a door into her subconscious attraction. She's testing if you notice, if you understand, if you can hold her energy without fear or overreaction. Most men fail this test instantly, but the man who sees it, who responds with calm, confident attunement, suddenly occupies her thoughts, her curiosity, and her desire. That greeting, that tiny moment becomes the foundation for everything else. It's no longer just a hello. It's the first step in creating a magnetic connection that most men can only dream of by now. You understand that a woman's greeting isn't casual. It's a glimpse into her subconscious. Attraction, a spark of curiosity, and an invitation she often doesn't even realize she's sending. Most men walk past this moment blind, missing the invisible thread that could pull her heart closer. But when you see it, truly see it, everything changes. That greeting becomes a doorway, a key to emotional resonance that most men will never unlock. And once you understand this, you can't unsee it. You begin to notice every subtle sign, every micro expression, every pulse of energy she gives off. Here's the brutal truth. Attraction isn't about grand gestures or smooth lines. It's about presence, awareness, and the ability to respond to what she's giving you unconsciously. That first greeting, soft eyes, lingering smile, subtle shift toward you is your blueprint. Women don't hand these out to everyone. She's giving it to you because something in her is drawn to you. And when you respond with grounded confidence, when you reflect her energy without overdoing it, you create a psychological pull that lingers long after she walks away. Suddenly, she's thinking about you, wondering what it is about you that feels different. Notice the power in timing and restraint. Don't rush. Don't overcompensate. Presence is magnetic. By holding subtle awareness, by acknowledging her energy without crowding it, you let her attraction grow naturally. She feels it in her chest, in her pulse, in the tiny flutter that she can't explain. And here's the genius of it. The more you master this, the more she seeks you out mentally and emotionally. That greeting, that tiny opening becomes the seed of curiosity, desire, and even obsession. Most men never understand this. They treat a greeting like a casual exchange. The men who succeed understand that in these small moments lies the invisible game of attraction. And now, let's make it personal. Think about the last time a woman greeted you like this, when you felt that spark but didn't know why. Multiply that moment by the number of women you've brushed past unseen. Imagine what could happen if you noticed every subtle cue, every tiny invitation. How many connections, how many moments of desire could you have created? Here's your challenge in the comments. Answer this equation. How many times have you missed a subtle signal that could have sparked attraction? And what will you do differently next time? Share your number, your story, and let's hold each other accountable. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button. No, subscribe to you for more insights on female psychology and dating dynamics, and share this with a friend who needs to finally see what women are really saying with just a greeting. Every moment counts, every gesture matters.